I want to start with my report to you, people of the state of Ohio, in regard to where I think we are today, April 16th, 2020. And I want to start with a quote. This is a quote from one of my favorite people in history, and that is Winston Churchill. This was on November 10th, 1942. And I know the British people at that time must have felt that they had been in this war forever. They were in it much earlier than the United States was. They were battling for their life survival. And I'm sure that at this point they were starting to get very, very weary. This is what Churchill said after the North African campaign, which was really well into World War II. Now, this is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end. But it is perhaps the end of the beginning. And that's where I think we are today. We're about to enter a new phase. And let me talk about what I think are the essential facts of where we are. And throughout this, I have promised you that to the best of my ability, I would tell you where we were and what we knew. I'm going to try to do that today again. First of all, first fact, Ohioans have done a great job. You all have done a phenomenal job fighting back, staying home, doing the distancing, doing all the things that needed to be done. I've never been prouder to be an Ohioan. I'm very grateful for what you have done. You have, number two, it would appear, flattened the curve. Now we have data from a week where it's been fairly flat. We got to get more data. We got to see that continue. And what we, of course, we hope is that it doesn't stay flat too long. We hope it starts edging down. And we look at the statistics every day. Dr. Acton will share today's. But one of the things I always look at is the hospital admissions. And we know people are staying in the hospital a long time, so the hospitals start filling up some. But the admissions, people going in every day, is absolutely clear. At least for a week, we've been relatively flat. So we wait to see what happens. Fact number three. We all must live in a state and in a country where COVID-19 is still here and is in all likelihood going to be here, and we're going to live with it until we have an immunization. We don't know how long that will be. Could be a year, could be a little longer. I'm an optimist. We have amazing scientists who are working on this as frantically and as hard as they can. So we don't know the date. We know it's going to be a while. We don't know how long. Number four, this period of time, living with a COVID-19, is not going to last forever. We will get through this. It's for a period of time. Again, we don't know the exact period of time. Number five, we must get Ohio's economy moving again. We must get people back to work. I fully understand what people, because I'm getting calls and texts, and I get it, and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the news media, what people are dealing with. And I know that people who are unemployed want to work, and they want to get back, and they want to move us forward, and small businessmen and women want to do the same thing. For all the reasons that we know, Ohioans are chomping at the bit, ready to go, ready to get back to work. But I want to mention something else of why it's important for us to start back. We know that when the economy goes down and we have this significant drop, we know that there are bad consequences. People lose their jobs. And we also know that there are medical consequences as well, that certain things happen. Overdoses, for those who have an addiction problem, go up. People relapse in regard to people who are an alcoholic or people who are drug addict. We see the relapses go up. We see people have more anxiety. We see people have more depression. We see more homelessness, and I could go on, but these are all things that are very, very important and that matter a lot. It is essential, though, that as we start back, we do this the right way. We must get this right because the stakes are very high. If we don't do it right, the consequences are horrendous. What we do not want to do is to start back, start getting back, getting businesses up, getting small businesses up, and then have a disaster, a huge spike in the number of people who test positive and who are in the hospital. That would be disastrous. We have an obligation as we start back, and it's so very, very important for our state to keep our employees safe and for businesses to keep their customers safe. We are fighting, really, in a sense, a two-front war. One has to do with keeping us safe, medical point of view. One has to do with a medical crisis, but the other has to do with an economic crisis, a crisis about jobs and the economy. A while ago, we created the Governor's Board of Economic Advisors. Just as I looked to the medical community to give us help, give us advice, and we still do that. We put a group together of doctors and others who really understand pandemics. Just as we did that, we have put together this group of economic advisors. And these are CEOs from many of the major companies and smaller companies in the state of Ohio. I asked them to inform us, to help us, to look at what we need to do to address this economic crisis. This morning, I received a report from them, a verbal report. The report is a work in progress. It's a plan, but the plan's not done yet. But they gave me a glimpse of what, I orally presented it to me, of what they had come up with. And as I said, it's a work in progress. And let me talk for a moment about that. While COVID is out there, no plan will guarantee people will not get it. That's the reality. But during the stay-at-home time, the companies that were allowed to continue have learned a lot. And we've seen them put in place some very, very stringent measures. And so in a sense, this has been a trial period where we can see some of the things that work. And so we have learned from that. I have asked the Lieutenant Governor to work with all kinds of businesses around the state, and I'm doing it as well, but he's taking the lead on it, to come up with the best practices that we can. And again, some of this is based on what they've learned in the last month. Some of it is based, obviously, on medical science And what we are seeing is companies that have done quite a good job. I want to show this slide. Frank Sullivan of RPM heads up this group that we put together. This is a slide that kind of shows some of the things that they have done. And I'll just go through this quickly. Again, this is one company, one type of business. For other businesses, there may be different things, but this is kind of an example of what you could put together. Regular checks of PPE stock, supply and lead times, make sure it's there. Limit visitors, essential ones only. Screen for health upon entry. Everybody come in and get screened. So we're looking at that right there. Clear guidelines on hygiene. Instruct on self-monitoring for illness. Below 100 fever, no cough, respiratory issues, sore throat, none of that. Okay. Assist employees with alternatives to public transportation. Enforce 6-foot physical distancing. Some of that. Mandatory mask. Communicate suspected exposure to cases of COVID-19, and on and on. That's just one company, one example, but that's the type protocol that we're looking to put together as people look to start back in. We are looking to begin this process on May 1. We've got a lot more work to do between now and May 1 because we want to get this right. We will start with companies that can demonstrate that they can do these things. We'll start with some companies that, and this will be phased in because we got to measure how we're doing as we go. But we'll do this with companies where we have been able to put together the guidelines and companies that we think can start back down this road. Again, the world that we're going to see is a different world, and the world in the workplace is going to be different. You're going to see people with masks. You're going to see people where there's a lot of sanitizers, a lot of barriers, distancing, all the things that we have talked so much about. The workplace is going to change. And for the companies to come back, we want to make sure that they're able to assure this for their employees and for those that are retail, for their customers. We enter a time when this is a new reality, really. And again, this is going to last until we're done with COVID and until we have a vaccine. You're going to be seeing masks everywhere in public. We're going to see the washing of hands, the sanitizers, wiping surfaces, distance, distance, distance. That is our new reality. I want to talk for a moment, and Dr. Acton has talked a lot about this, but I want to talk about it because, again, as we start back in, people are going to have to make decisions. And people are going to have to make the best decision they can that's in their own best interest, in their own health and their own well-being. So we have a slide that shows the people who are most at risk. Older adults, people who have their immune system compromised, people of any age with these underlying medical conditions are at a higher risk for COVID-19. They're at a higher risk of hospitalization, higher risk of death. And Dr. Acton can explain it a lot better, but I don't know if you all can read it, but chronic lung disease, moderate to severe asthma, heart conditions, immune-compromised individuals, liver disease, chronic kidney disease, diabetes, obesity. I'm sure there are many more, but those are the individuals in this new world that's going to last for, we don't know, a year or so. Not going to last forever. It's going to last for a while. Those are individuals who certainly are at the most risk and are going to have to be exceedingly careful as they look at what they do and the decisions that they make. Let me address directly young people. I was 20 once, I was 25 once, I thought I was invincible, and that's kind of the nature of the age, and I get it. But as we've talked about, you can be just as much a carrier as anybody else. And so you need to be careful. We have had young people hospitalized. The odds are much better for you. But we also know that you can be a carrier. And without intending to do anyone harm, you visit an older person, you can be carrying that and not even have any symptoms at all. So I would just, as we enter this new period, ask our young people to be very, very responsible, worry about others. If you're not worried about yourself, worry about others. As we enter this new period, beginning May 1, we're going to continue to be fact-driven. We're going to follow the facts. We're going to see where we are going. We're going to have the ability to adjust where we're going. What are the variables as we kind of steer the ship? What are the variables that are going to make us go one way or the other? They're obvious, I think. Where are we at flattening the curve? We hope to start going down, but we certainly do not want to go back up. So as we open up, we're going to have to be very, very careful about that does not happen. Second, we're going to keep an eye on the hospital admissions. They go hand in hand with that curve that we're talking about. We're going to look at the PPE availability. How are we doing on that? And that's a everyday battle. I know it is in the private industry. I know it is for the hospitals. I know people who work in our team. We're out there trying to find this and trying to make sure that it gets manufactured. I think the good news is, I believe, that as time goes on, and we have bought some time, that's going to get better. That we're going to have more domestic companies that are making it, and that the availability will slowly, over time, go up. Testing capacity. Again, I'm an optimist. I think our testing capacity is going to go up. And we know it's going to go up. We just hope it goes up fast. But again, that is a variable in our ability to test as we move Ohio forward. Again, we're going to be very fact-driven. We're going to adjust as we need to as we move forward. Let me just say to everyone that we're a two-front war now. Got to keep safe. Got to protect the most vulnerable. Same time, got to start moving this economy back forward. We got to do both things at once, and we can do that. My commitment to you is that I will fight just as hard to bring this economy back. I will give it everything I have, and I am doing that, as I have to fight to save lives of Ohioans. That's what Dr. Acton will do. That's what I will do. That's what Lieutenant Governor Houston will do and our team. That is our commitment to you. We will work on both of these every single day. We will take the best advice that we can find as we do it. But those are our objectives. They're not inconsistent. They can go hand in hand. We just have to be careful how we do it. When we put businesses back in, we've got to make sure that they can do everything they can to as much as humanly possible. Nothing's perfect. No place is totally safe. But to as much as humanly possible, assure that their employees, and if they're retail, their customers, have a safe place to work, a safe place to come and shop and do the things that we like to do. I am an optimist. I think we can do this. I know we can do this. This is new. This is a new thing for us, and it's tough. No one says it's easy, but I am an optimist. My wife Fran says anybody with 8 children by definition is an optimist, and I'm an optimist. We can do this. When I looked at what tie to pick out today, I picked the one with the flag again. So I would invite everyone to keep flying your flag. Fly your Ohio flag or your U.S. flag. We've done well. We've done well. We just have to keep moving. And now we move into this next phase as we get ready to start it on May 1st. And I will be continuing to report to you as we know more, as we lay this plan out. The outlines are there, but as we get more details, we will lay this out in the days ahead. But this is my report as of today, where we are and where I think we're going to be able to go beginning, and where we intend to go beginning May 1st.